All right. Welcome back to another episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, and I'd like to welcome you guys to another episode, man. Of course, y'all know how we do. We're going to wait a few moments, allow some of you guys to get up in here. I'm going to share the link out with a few special someones, and then we will get it cracking, man. We will get it cracking. Not a whole lot to talk about tonight, guys, but hey, that time is dwindling down. We are about to have a whole lot to talk about here in the very near future as we get closer and closer to training camp. So I just want to try to, keep things going the best I can while I can until we get into the nitty gritty, just to keep you guys engaged. So like I said, man, give me just a second and we'll reintroduce the show here in just a hot second. Let me send the link out to a few special people. Y'all know I do that each and every week. Bear with me here. And let's see. Who else do I need to send this to? My cousin Floyd. And my father-in-law Leonard. And then we shall get it cracking. What's happening? What's happening? Of course, I'm going to do my normal roll call here in just a moment, guys. But how's everybody doing so far tonight, man? Share your thoughts. Let me know how you guys are doing here tonight so far. How's everything going? Hope all is well. And definitely do me a favor if you can, man. If you are on social media, make sure you share out the link via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even though you can't post the full thing on Instagram. Whatever your social media vice is, if you're on that, do your boy a favor and share this out so we can get this thing up and growing up in here. So, all right, man. Again, let's redo the intro, man. Welcome to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. For those of you guys that don't know, I am your host, SimFBallCritic, and we're going to talk a little bit of Steelers news here. Just a little bit, because there's not a lot to go on right now, but that is, that time is getting shorter. Training camp starts, I believe, next Friday the 26th. So we got 2 more shows before we deep dive right into football action. So a little bit of slow times right now. Next week, we'll have a little more anticipation, and then of course Friday. And I think what I'll probably start doing is, try to do some daily updates if I can, at least, definitely more than one time a week. We'll start doing the Steelers report, once training camp hits or what have you, so we'll have a good time. But let me do a quick shout out, man, to the people who are already here. Wide Diggy, All of the Above, Jordan Mid, Jared Devil, Brandon Cheney, Christopher Williams, A. Whitfield, and that is about it right now in terms of guys who've already commented. Just to give you guys a quick heads up, not a heads up, but just some information, if you would like to call in, you guys know how I do. I now take phone calls at the end of the show. We try to allow a little bit of time to accept a few phone calls. The number is right down there in the bottom of the screen, 619-924-0818. The faster you call, the further up you'll be in the queue, and hopefully I'll get to your call. But that's how we do the show, man. I give you my quick topics, jump into the phone calls, answer a few chats here, and then that's pretty much the show. So let's dive right into it, man. So the first thing we're really going to talk about tonight, we definitely want to talk about Mike Tomlin, him being ranked the number 9 quarterback, the number 9 head coach in the NFL. And that's by what's the guy's name? Elliot Harrison from the NFL Network. He does a list a lot of times, where he ranks guys. And Tomlin has, usually been about 4th. Last couple years, he's been 4th ranked. He's now ranking him number 9. So we'll kind of talk about that, whether we agree or disagree, if it's fair or unfair, whatever you want to call it. But a couple other things I'll definitely talk about here tonight really quick, man, is I want to talk about the slot receiver position a little bit, and I will discuss with you guys why I'm actually big on Ryan Switzer. Believe it or not, I actually am big on him, and I'll tell you guys why. And the only thing else I want to talk about, man, is the NFL, they're proposing this 18-week game schedule. And it's a little tricky what they're trying to do with it. They're trying to have it to where there's a 16 games per year per player. So that's very interesting. So we'll dive into that as well. And maybe we'll hit that first. And we'll circle back around to the main topic of Mike Tomlin. So, yeah, let's dive into the 18-week game proposal that the NFL is trying to propose as they approach either extending the CBA or, trying to get something done before the new CBA is set to be, go into place or what have you. So basically what they're offering, and I'll be honest in saying I don't know whether it is 18-week season or 18-game season. I got to get clarity on that. I think it's an 18-game. Let me see if I can find the information here. Yeah, it says 18-game season, but again, I want to know, is it like it is now where it's a 17-week season in the NFL? Each team plays 16 games, right? So are they saying that they're pushing it to 18 weeks or 18 games? Meaning, is it a 19 total weeks, but everybody plays 18 games? Or are they saying it's 18 total weeks, everybody plays a total of 17 games? So again, get a little more clarity on that. But the part that I want to tackle is the fact that it's saying that it's a 16 games per season limit per player. So you're telling me that you're going to have to automatically decide beforehand who you're going to allow to play this week, because you don't want to, you don't want to lose the 16th game, if you will, or you want to keep a game in the hole, or, you got somebody that you desperately need to play in the last game, but now you've already, played them 16 weeks. It's just crazy. To me, it's absolutely crazy. I don't understand why the NFL thinks that the Player Association will go for that. If I wasn't, if I didn't know any better, I would say that the NFL is doing that on purpose to try to rule out, or rule in their favor, if you will. Because I think there's definitely ways that you can incentivize the players to do an 18-game season, but this ain't the way. This is not the way. Just think about that from a strategic standpoint. Okay, you have a built-in, you have a week that some player won't be able to play. And it's going to affect everybody, because that means that you cannot play your starting quarterback, right? Or I actually heard something about them saying that perhaps with quarterbacks, it would be an exception. And to me, that's crazy too, because I thought it was about player safety. So how are you going to have the quarterbacks playing more games than anyone else? But okay, let's take the quarterbacks off the board for a second. Star receiver, your star corner, your stud on defense, your star wide receiver, whoever it is. You're telling me that you have to pre-built, right? It's pre-built in the schedule. And the way you monitor your team, you automatically will have to account for those guys not being there at least 1 week. That's crazy. That is pure crazy in my opinion. I don't understand it. So I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. The way I actually feel about it again. I think there's better ways that you can allow or get people to buy into the 18-game season, because we all know it's a money thing. It's a money play, man. We all know that these owners, they definitely want to get their bread and they want to make more. And, the NFL is profitable, obviously. So what better way than to get more money than to have guys play for more weeks than they currently are in a given season? It's more opportunities for more revenue. Like I said, I think there's ways that you can get players to buy into it, but the way that you're going about it now, I don't think anybody is in line signing up for that. The Steelers players have already voiced their opinion saying that no, they're not going to have that. The guys who usually speak up, we've already heard from Ramon Foster and, Cam Hayward, they're not having it. And I don't think I could disagree with those guys whatsoever. Unless you're talking about some more money, perhaps, maybe we'll get to a point where the NFL contracts are more guaranteed, or there's a minimum amount that has to be guaranteed when it comes to contracts, something like that. You're going to have to incentivize these guys monetarily or something of that nature in order for anybody to bite on that. I just think the proposal is absolutely nuts, in my opinion. All right, so moving on, man. Let's talk about next on the docket here. I want to talk a little bit about the wide receiver position, man, in terms of the slot receiver. And I've been thinking and contemplating on this quite a bit, man. I think we talked about this on a previous show. Who will actually man the slot duties? You know, a lot of people are saying perhaps Eli Rogers, is if he's back and if he's healthy, if he gets through camp healthy, you know, he's a been there, done that type of guy, even though he hasn't necessarily been a boom for the Steelers. You know, we know what he can give you. We know what he's capable of. And I think, you know, I don't think we've seen all of Eli Rogers. I don't think his ceiling is extremely high. You know, it's not much further than what we've already seen. But I think Eli Rogers probably from top to bottom, if I'm just talking about receiver and receiver capabilities and what he can do and what he can't do, I would be willing to say that he's probably a better receiver in the slot, you know, than Ryan Switzer. But again, I'm going to tell you guys why I'm big on Ryan Switzer. And then you got this other guy, man, that we keep hearing about, Deontay Spencer, I believe. You know, he's making a little bit of noise, a guy from the CFL. You know, he has made a little bit of noise. You know, we've heard some chatter about him in the spring. We'll see what happens in training camp. You know, that's a whole different ball game when you get those pads on and we get to see what you're really made of. And then also preseason games. You know, we get to see these guys in live action to see what they're really made of. And, you know, maybe he has an opportunity to compete in the return game as well. Because let's face it, you know, that's an area that we definitely need an upgrade in as far as performance. And we thought Ryan Switzer would be that. And I'm not going to blame Ryan Switzer, you know, completely. It ain't completely his fault. It's a team. It's a collective, you know. And Ryan Switzer has done a serviceable job, just hasn't had a sizable or enough, you know, chunk amounts in the return game. And I'm talking about, when I'm talking about chunk amounts, I'm talking like 20-plus yard returns. I'm not talking about housing it every time or averaging 50 or 60 yards of return. No, I'm just saying relatively good position. Think about it. If you're coming out of the end zone, right, and you get a 40-yard return net, I mean, let's say, you know, let's say a 40-yard return or so from the end zone, that's basically getting you 15 yards beyond, 15 yards beyond the 25. That's a pretty decent return. And that's what I'm talking about. If he could average something like 20 to 25 yards, you know, per return, and some of you might think that's low, but that's really not. You know, if you can average something like that, you're doing relatively decent. If you can get that starting position anywhere from the 35, you know, up to the 40 to 45, that's a consistent return game. So, again, I'm not going to put all of that responsibility on Ryan Switzer. The return teams have to help him out in terms of blocking and being on their assignments and reducing penalties, etc., etc. Now, there's other people out there too, man. Again, we cannot forget Deontay Johnson, the number 2 round draft pick. We can't forget about him as well. Okay, Deontay Johnson, or was he the number 3? We didn't have a 2 this year, right? Because we traded up. Yeah. So Deontay Johnson, which would have been, you know, you could kind of call him a second round pick where we took him in the 3rd very early. But let's think about him as well. You know, we don't know if he's going to work a lot at the X receiver. You know, ideally, that's where you probably want to get him some work. Because, again, we're trying to compensate for that loss that we're getting from Antonio Brown. This guy plays very similar to Antonio Brown in terms of his style and skill set. But I'm sure we're going to use Moncrief out there as well. So then that makes you think that, oh, okay, well, are we going to slide Deontay Johnson inside? You know, he's scouted as being able to play both spots. Move him inside, move him outside. So it just makes you wonder, you know, are we going to have more packages where we're moving Juju inside? You know, where I really love Juju is inside. So does that mean it's going to be Moncrief and Johnson on the outside? Is it going to be Moncrief and Washington on the outside? So bottom line, there's a lot going on in that slot receiver position where, you know, we could get by without an Eli Rogers or somebody like that. Just mixing and matching the guys that we have on staff. Again, when you have guys who can play inside and outside like Juju, like Deontay Johnson, it gives you a lot of flexibility because, of course, James Washington is going to be a factor. You know, he's going to be a part of the offense, obviously. So that's automatically 4 receivers that you would expect they're going to rotate time, okay? You know, Juju, Moncrief, James Washington, and Deontay Johnson. I'm just saying that now. If you take him where you take him, he's going to play some football this year. Those are 4 guys right there that you can rotate. And 2 of those guys can play. Matter of fact, 3 of those guys can play inside because Moncrief can do it too. So that brings me to Eli Rogers and Ryan Switzer and this guy, Deontay Spencer, which he's probably a long shot. But here's what I like about Ryan Switzer, man. Why I'm big on Ryan Switzer. I like his toughness. I really do. You know, if you think about the type of routes that he ran for us last year when he was being worked more like a receiver, and I even saw him say not too long ago, just recently, maybe today or yesterday, where he even said that you have to be a tough guy going over the middle. And he's not only talking it, he's walking it. You know, he gives you that. He gives you that Julian Edelman type of savvy craftiness, you know, in the slot position. I'm not saying he's Julian Edelman, but I'm saying Switzer actually gives us that. He gives us a lot of that grunt work. And who else is going to do it? Now, again, I'm not saying a Deontay Johnson couldn't do it. I'm not saying that Eli Rogers couldn't do it if Eli wins out the battle. I think the Steelers are going to keep 6 receivers. But it's going to be interesting, man, to see who actually makes that 6th spot and for what reason. Because we can't forget the guy Holton as well. Johnny Holton, I think his name is. He's a speedster, so we don't know how he's going to fit in the mix. But I'm just saying, man, if I had to take my pick of the litter right now, and it pains me to say this because I am a fan of Eli Rogers. I am. I think Eli gives us a lot. I won't say a lot, but I think he could give us a little more out of talent-wise at the slot position. But across the board, I think Ryan Switzer does more. You know, he's shown that he's capable to return both kicks, punts, and again, look at the little grunt work that he was doing with Ben. And, you know, some of the plays he made later on in the year. And even the game, I mean, go back and look at the Jacksonville game. I just recently watched it when we hit Antonio Brown on the cross down close to the end zone. Ryan Switzer had beat, I think it was Ramsey, one of them dudes off the line and threw the hand up. He was wide open. If Ben would have been looking, nicely thrown ball, that's a touchdown. So he does a little more than what people think. And again, I just like his toughness, man. And I think I would have to go with Ryan Switzer right now. And I'll be honest in saying recency bias. From what I've seen him do last year, that's probably the way I would lean, the way I would go. Excuse me. So, all right, man, let's talk about the next thing here. And what's up to my brother Tony, man? How you doing, Tony? See Tony's in the building. See my father-in-law Leonard is in the building as well. Got one phone call, man. I'll grab the phone call here in a moment. Area code 910. We'll get you last. And anybody else that wants to call in, man, 619-924-0818. All I ask is that you keep it short, 2 minutes or less. That's all I ask. You know, if a bunch of you guys start calling, I can't promise I get to them all, but I try to at least grab a few calls before we're out of here. So let's get to the topic at hand. Mike Tomlin was ranked the 9th best head coach in the NFL. Okay, now the article comes from this guy, Ellison. Why do I keep calling you guys? Let me take a sip of water because I got to tell y'all something real quick. You ever get tongue-tied and every time you try to say the name correctly or say the word correctly, you can't? I keep calling this dude Ellison. His name is Elliot Harrison, but for whatever reason, my brain keeps merging those two and I keep calling him Ellison. So, the guy's name is Elliot Harrison. Okay, actually, I talked about him last week. This is the same guy I was telling y'all that was on that old TV show I saw one night. I forget what it's called. It's with Jerry Springer, man. It's a game show late at night. Baggage Claim. This dude, Elliot Harrison, was on there, and I just thought that was hilarious. Y'all might remember me telling y'all that last week. But anyway, so he writes this list, and he's talking about, you know, ranking the coaches, et cetera, et cetera. And what I'll do real quick, man, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to read basically what he said so you guys can hear it. And this is just going into this season. Keep in mind, the last 2 seasons, the 2018 season and the 2017 season, they had him ranked at, you know, 4th. So, and shout outs to SteelersDepot.com. This is where I got the information. They do a great job with their research. So I'm going to try to read as much as I can. I might read the whole thing. quick paragraph. It says, this is his words. Tomlin is one of the more difficult coaches to rate. He won a title, lost the Super Bowl in a close game, and has led his team to the playoffs far more than not. Last year was a not for Tomlin's group, as it seemed internal feuding distracted the Steelers just enough to have them in the unusual position of sitting at home in January. It's not hard to understand how the late season implosion took place, given the considerable ego of Antonio Brown, as well as the personality of the team's number one quarterback. He just put QB1, then Roethlisberger. Then again, each are great players, and in previous years, Tomlin handled both en route to a Super Bowl appearance and multiple postseason entries. Maybe some fans would like to see Tomlin be more of a strict disciplinarian or an X's and O's wonk, although no one associated the latter with either Chuck Noll or Bill Cowher. Tomlin has reached 2 Super Bowls like his predecessor, and while he hasn't approached Noll's success, it's not like the legendary coach didn't endure his down seasons as well. Okay, so what he had to say there is not too bad. But here's my question, and I really want to know from you guys in the chat, and maybe that's what you guys are calling about. Do you think he's the 9th best coach in the NFL? Should he be higher? Should he be lower? Let me give you the list. Ahead of him, Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, Sean McVay, and John Harbaugh. Now, what do these coaches have in common that Tomlin didn't have last year? Can anybody guess? Playoff appearance. So I have to look at his list, and I have to think that his list is funny that I used the word or the phrase recency bias a little while ago, because that's what I think this list is as well. Because in 2017 and 2018, you had Tomlin ranked at 4th, and he was in the playoffs. Now, I like to look at the complete spectrum of a coach, right? Now, let's just look at some of these numbers here, because they have the chart down here at the bottom. Sean McVay, 2 years, okay? 24 wins, 8 losses, 75% win percentage. He's the highest one. Now, obviously, his time is shorter, and he wins a lot of games in a short amount of time. That percentage is not going to be but so low. Bill Belichick, 24 years, 384 games, 261 wins, 123 losses, 68% win percentage, and of course he has some Super Bowls in there to boot, right? Who's right behind him? Mike Tomlin, 12 years, 125 wins, 66 losses, 1 tie. Should have never been a tie. But he's sitting at 65%. So my point is, if you take Sean McVay out of that, right? Because it's only been 2 years. Again, Sean McVay is doing a great job. And to get as far as he's gotten in those 2 years, I got to take my hats off to him. But if you take him off the board and you look at everybody else, Anthony Lynn, Sean Payton, Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, John Harbaugh, Pete Carroll, the next highest guy is 63%. That's Anthony Lynn with only 3 years. After that, Sean Payton, 61%. Andy Reid, 61%. Doug Peterson, 60% on 3 years. John Harbaugh, 11 seasons, 59%. Pete Carroll, 58%. So I'm just saying, if you're looking at winning percentage, and again, I know some people are going to say it's not all about the wins and blah, blah, blah. I hear you. But if you flip that coin, most people would judge people based off of their winning percentage. That's usually the merit, or Super Bowl titles, which translates to wins. So I'm just saying, the numbers make me wonder if I wasn't a guy that didn't know any of these, if I didn't know any of these coaches, the numbers alone would say that he's probably ranked higher than 9th. But I don't know. I just think it's recency bias. Again, I'm not trying to make a case for Mike Tomlin, good or bad. Just a good discussion. You know, see what you guys have to offer. So, okay, we got 2 phone calls in the queue again. All I ask, guys, if you keep it to about 2 minutes or less, please do that, because we're not going to be on much longer. But we have 2 phone calls. First up, area code 910. You are live. What you got for us tonight?
Yo, what's up, Sam?
What's going on?
Oh, pretty good, sir. I was listening in past weeks, and I decided to comment on this Eli situation. If you're able to replace AV, and you can't do it with an ACL, man. Johnny Holton should be the answer. Him and Ryan Switzer. Johnny Holton, the guy they picked up when I heard you talking about a month ago about, oh, he's just a guy to fill out the 90-man. No, he's part of the 53.
Could be.
This video, and if they wind up keeping Eli over that video of Johnny Holton running about people at 6'3", they would be favoring the ACL over 4.38.
Right.
I'm tired of the retardation in Pittsburgh. I love my team. 72. I'm old enough. I remember that would be favoring the ACL over 4.38. He's 6'3", and he runs like a 4.38. You can put him in the slot. Who are you gonna double? I mean, you go out with the young guy they got from they like, and you got Von Creep, and you put him in the slot.
Yeah.
They go double. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be gone. I know they're 2 minutes. They go double Juju. Then you got Vance McDonald. Look at this video. Any Steeler fan that thinks that Eli with ACL at 5'10" should be 4.38 and 6'3", I would love for you to step forward 10 man. I mean, it ain't gonna happen. That's retardation on steroids. I'm serious. It's just, if you gonna favor Eli over, look at this video tonight. Johnny Holton highlights, and you tell me that Eli should be there. That's all I gotta say, man. That's all I gotta say. It's retardation on steroids. Have a good one, Sam.
Oh, man, I love it, man. I appreciate the call, man. Let's give the caller a round of applause. Then I got another round of applause come right after that. Oh, man. 910, man. I love it. I love it. I love the passion from other fans. That's honestly, man, outside of the fact of my love for the Steelers and, this is just what I do. This is what I do it for, man. I love hearing other people's perspective. And listen, man, let's not forget that kid Holton, man. I mean, look, it's up for grabs. It really is up for grabs. And that, to me, is the one thing with Antonio Brown out of there that's actually going to open the door for some other folks. Somebody has to step up. You never know. I mean, listen, that's Martavis Bryant, man. Talk about speed. We don't really have anybody to take the top off the defense. Maybe this guy can help us. So Eli Rogers, man, listen, him and Ryan Switzer, to me, I don't think are locks for the 53-man roster. Again, like I said, I do like Ryan Switzer depending on what the Steelers want to do in terms of who they keep. But I am not opposed of, because I know some people are down on Holton saying, oh, he's a bump. Listen, the same thing y'all are saying about Moncrief. Some Steeler Nation members were upset about that. Let's see what these guys can do. It doesn't hurt. If you can help us, listen, we took a shot on, what's the kid? Justin Hunter. Why not take another shot? And actually, thinking about how we took a shot on him might be the reason why a guy like Holton was attractive. So we might be thinking about this totally wrong, acting as if it's going to be Eli or Ryan Switzer. Good point, man. I appreciate that call. But another round of applause really quick to my man, Sloth Legacy, for the donation, man. Round of applause. Appreciate that, man. I appreciate it a lot, man. Wholeheartedly, I appreciate that. And guys, if you want to donate, you can do so right here on YouTube like Sloth did. Click the $, send your secure payment. If you'd rather not do it on YouTube, which, to be honest with you, I'd rather you not do it on YouTube for some other reasons. Cash App is available. PayPal is available. It's all in the description. Have at it if you feel you want to. If you don't, still have at it and support the channel and Steeler Nation. Next phone call, man. Area code 484. You are live. What you got for us?
Sam.
What up, man?
Hey, Sam, it's Jedi.
What's up, Jedi?
I saw you were on tonight, and I just got home from the gym, so I thought I'd get on here and give my comment on the two things that we just talked about. You talked about how Ryan Switzer may not be a lock for the 53-man roster, and let's just say the Steelers do keep 6 wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we already know who the top 3 or 4 are going to be. Those are already locked. Okay, we have Juju, who's a lock. We have Washington, who's a lock. We have Moncrief, who's a lock. And we have Deontay Johnson, who's a lock. They're not going to get rid of a rookie. So after that, the 5th and 6th spot are up for grabs. But I will say, because of the experience and because of how he knows the playbook and what he has been able to do over the past season, I believe Ryan Switzer actually gets that 5th spot with ease. Now, the 6th spot is the one that's really interesting. Johnny Holden is a name, like the guy before me was talking about, that could potentially make the 53-man roster. Eli Rogers, I don't think we're going to actually keep him because of the cap hit with him. He's $1.5 million, and we could really use that. It may not seem like a lot, but we could really use that somewhere else. And the guy who I think is going to be the surprise pick to make the 53-man roster as that 6th wide receiver would be our CFL wide receiver that we just got this year, Deontay Spencer. You talk about a guy who has, Eli Rogers type ability, but he has very rarely been hurt, and he still runs in the 4.3s. When you go back and you watch the tape, not the highlight films, but the tape, okay, you can see that Deontay Spencer is probably the best route runner out of those 3 wide receivers that I just listed, Eli Rogers, Deontay Spencer, and Johnny Holden. So you got a guy now who can play both inside and outside, and he gives you something that I really don't believe Holden or Rogers gives you, and that's special teams ability, playing as a returner, either at punt or kick returns. So that's who I think is going to be the 6 wide receivers, and I would like to get your opinion on that. But before I do, you talk about how Mike Tomlin is ranked as the 9th best head coach in the NFL. I do not think he should be that low. I think he should be between 5 and 7 or 5 and 8. But when you look at the history of his career as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, yes, there are the 2 years in his first 4 years as a head coach that we made it to the Super Bowl, one where he won it and one where he did not. But then when you look after that 2010 Super Bowl, okay, from 2010 on, yes, he may not have had a losing season, okay, but he hasn't gotten us back to that big game since 2010. That's almost 10 years ago. It seems like it was just yesterday, but it's 10 years ago. Now, I'm not saying that Mike Tomlin has to go, but he is certainly not a top 3 or top 5 head coach in the league anymore. And I know I'm in the minority, but I'm not saying I'm getting rid of him. So I just want your opinion on that, and I'll let you go.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Jedi, I always appreciate your call, man. Appreciate you sharing your insight. And again, guys, make sure you follow Jedi on his channel as well. Spread the love if you haven't. I want all of us to, to conversate and have our own opinions and, support everybody's channel. So I'm always going to do that. But yeah, I'll comment on that really quick, guys, and we'll be wrapping up here in just a moment. I'll take a few minutes and read some of you guys' chats, and that'll probably be it for the phone calls tonight. Pretty slow night. I don't necessarily have anything to say about that. As far as I don't disagree, I can honestly see why someone would feel that way. I mean, even myself, he hasn't got us back to the big game. I kind of feel like this though. I don't put all of the blame on Coach Tomlin or the entire staff. I do hold them accountable for certain things. Since 2010, yes, has there been times that we've looked at Tomlin and said, yo, what decision was that? And I'm talking about a decision, not people always want to say it's coaching, but we don't listen. I think coaches definitely give the order and the players have to play it out. But there's certain things that we could see was a Tomlin decision. The challenges and clock management and things like that. On defense, we don't know how much of his hand is in the pot, but we got to give him some blame, as well as Butler and even LeBeau in that time for not putting a clamp on things. But again, I don't put it all on coaching. That's just the way I see it because, again, from playing ball, I knew the difference from what our coach told us what to do, from when we felt like the coach put us in the wrong position, had us in the wrong play, wasn't prepared. I don't feel that way about Coach Tomlin at all. I don't feel like he's not prepared in terms of game planning. Now, again, on the fly decisions, you know, he lives and dies by saying he goes with his gut. Sometimes I don't agree with his gut. I might not have did that. I might not have went for 2 there. I might not have challenged that play because it looked clear to me. But I just can't put everything on any head coach as being the reason why a team hasn't gone all the way. I think our team has been talented enough to do it. All of us know that our defense has struggled handsomely. I mean, golly, man. I mean, the defense has been in the dumps in terms of it's gotten better. But what I'm saying is since us going to the Super Bowl, we've been Swiss cheese when it mattered the most. And that's why we have not won a Super Bowl when you had 3 of the top, and I won't even say most dynamic, including Ben Roethlisberger, but when you had the killer bees, you know, you had that and you had another side piece in Martavis Bryant on offense. Come on, man. There was times we still had Big Heath out there at tight end, holding it down. You know, we had everything we needed on paper to win a Super Bowl offensively. Defense has been the problem. And yeah, we got to point the finger at Mike Tomlin on that too, because he's a defensive guy. He comes from a defensive background. So he's not without criticism, blame, etc., etc. I just don't weigh it as heavily as some people do with coaches, period. You know, I just don't. You know, I think they're great coaches and they're subpar coaches. They're bad coaches. But ultimately, it comes down to the players have to perform as well. So I just don't put the full brunt of it on the coach. But yeah, we haven't gotten back there. We've gotten close. But again, every time we've sniffed it, come up short. Look at all them, you know, 12-4 back-to-back seasons and all that. Go to the AFC Championship, get blown out defensively. You get a bye and have Jacksonville come into your house and a duel, you know, 45-42. Defense let us down. It was so many times that we almost made it and we just didn't. So I put the full blame on everybody, the full staff. So, but bottom line, man, let me read some of you guys' comments and then we'll get out of here. But bottom line, what I say about Tomlin, yeah, I don't think he deserves perhaps to be going into this season as a top 3 coach. If we're talking about duration, yeah, I put him in the top. I would probably put him in the top 6, 5. You know, I think he is a good football coach. You know, he's not perfect, but if I look at all of the other 32 coaches, I would take Mike Tomlin any day of the week with some enhancements. I need him to change some things, absolutely. And hopefully having guys like Terrell Austin and, you know, and other guys like that assisting him now, he can get better in some of those things that we turn our eyes up at. So that's just my thought. Let's see what you guys got to say here real quick, man. Let's spend about 3 more minutes and I'll read the chat. Night Wolf is going off. What's he talking about? The coaching ranking was a reflex by the writer. Clickbait, nothing more, but I hope it puts a chip on his shoulder. I like us going against the grain this year. Yeah, me too, man. Rojan says that mentality has to change. What mentality? Let me roll up and see what else. What mentality are you speaking of, my friend? Oh, here it is. The mentality has to change. Playing with what you got attitude. That has to go. Okay. Are you talking about coaching or are you talking about the staff itself? Because it sounds like you're saying playing with what you got. Are you talking about free agency and things like that or what? Elaborate a little more just to make me understand. Marvin Wilson says, I think that this is a phone. That's his phone location. Might be a signal. Okay, you're talking about. Yeah, Jedi, if you're still listening, man, your sound seems to come through distorted. It almost sounds like you might be like far away or somewhere where you're getting a bad signal. That's what some of the guys were saying in the chat. I mean, I could hear it a little bit when, you know, in the headphones, but I didn't know how. I don't know how it comes across in the stream. So I just want to give you a heads up on that the next time you call. Let's see. Steve Williams says Steelers go 11-5 or 12-4 this year. That would be great. That sounds like a not a Super Bowl, but definitely a playoff appearance if we can do that this year. Gold. Let me know. Is it drop Is it supposed to be drop and X is like the O? Or am I missing that pronunciation? But he says, do you think Jalen will win the number 2 spot or Benny Snell? Interesting. And you know what? I think I'm going to talk about that next week in terms of, a few days ahead of training camp, my most intriguing battles. That's one of them. The number 2 spot. I think it could go to Benny Snell, man, but he's going to have to earn it because the Steelers, y'all know the Steelers are stubborn. They like to go with seniority and, letting people start off where they should be and let them lose the job, if you will. Think about how they did Metakevich last year. We all knew that wasn't going to last. Jalen is going to be a complete stud. That's what Lance Watson is saying. I'm not mad at that either, man. Imagine having 3 studs at running back. Because I think Benny Snell is going to be a bona fide, solid NFL running back. X is supposed to be I. It's supposed to be gold drip. All right. See, that's why I asked. See, your boy. That's why I asked. I don't like to assume, man. My dad always told me, you know what happens when you assume. Who is our kicker? Woo, good question. I'm gonna go with Boz, man. I think a fire is gonna be lit under Boswell, and he's gonna perform. 2 more of these guys. Give me 2 more, and then I'm gonna get out of here. Where we at time wise, man? I can't never stick to the time, but as long as we're under 45, and we're right at 41 minutes. Chris Boswell got a 69 overall, the same like Daniel Carlson. You talking about in Madden? Yeah. It's going to be interesting, man. I think Madden is going to shock a lot of people in terms of how the game plays out, even with the lower ratings. People are tripping over it for no reason. They did a complete ratings strip down, and I think you all will see, that it's not going to affect anything the way people think. Love your channel, Sim. Matthew Lewis, I appreciate that. Love you back, man. All right, last one. Why Diggy says, tight end is a spot we'll need to keep an eye on after McDonald. We're thin there. Very, very, very thin. Very thin. Very thin. Oh, one other one. Rojan said, look out for my nephew, Sim. He'll be one of the running backs for Kentucky this year. That's what's up. Make sure you let me know exactly who it is, man. I would definitely keep my eye on that, man. And good luck to him, man. Let him know. Tell him stay healthy, man. Okay, one last one. Leon Artist says, the tackle to catch style of coaching goes back to LeBeau, and until we play more aggressive against the pass, we will struggle. That's a good point. But I will challenge you and say this. Have we had those guys in the past? I think now, with Nelson and Joe Hayden at corner, I like playing the pass a little more aggressively. I can't say I trust it with any of the other guys. Artie Burns, you see what happened, how much of a gambler he is. And then he got, I won't say he was a gambler, but Artie Burns a lot of times would jump things real quick, or he would be reacting to the quarterback, getting caught looking in the backfield too long. You see where that got us. Guys like Brian Allen, same problem. There's a reason why he hasn't hit the field yet. So I would only challenge the narrative, not challenging your point, but just giving it a counter. I don't know if we've had those guys that I feel comfortable with just being aggressive. I think Steven Nelson going to bring that to the table, though. And I think Joe Hayden is capable of still doing that, which he pretty much has to now. Being a little older, you got to take a little more chances because, it could cost you because your recovery speed isn't the same. But I think we might see a more aggressive approach, especially, again, I think Devin Bush helps all of that across the board, having that speed underneath. So we'll see. But great point, man. Great point. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys, right before our deadline here, right below. Again, I always want to try to stay at 30 minutes, no more than 45. We're at 44 minutes now. So that's my show. But before I go, guys, make sure you remember to subscribe if you haven't. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit the like button. Please do that. It helps me greatly. Share the stream if you would like. Also, cut on your notifications so you know when the streams are available and or just pre-recorded videos I do outside of the Steelers. And the last thing, man, again, if you feel the need to donate, thank you in advance. You can do so right here on YouTube. Click the $ in the bottom left corner of the chat window. You can do it more securely via PayPal, via Cash App. For that information, check the description, and there you have it. But until next time, guys, let's keep our eyes on the Steelers. It's been very quiet right now, and I'm glad of that. No real unnecessary news. And then when we come back Tuesday, we'll discuss the upcoming training camp battles, and then training camp hits on Friday. So I can't wait. Football is almost back. But all right, man, that's going to do it for tonight. Y'all be good. Take it easy. Have a great week. God bless. And thank you for tuning in to Terrible Towel Tuesday. Peace.